MEC swim will cycle through parts of Sligo, Leitrim and Donegal before returning to Ross's Point. From here, the 13-mile run will take them along the beach at Ross's Point, over the famous County Sligo golf links before finishing again back at Ross's Point.
This year an entire festival has been built up around the triathlon weekend, and the visiting athletes were made welcome here in the heart of the beautiful Yates countryside.
Festival activities were a warrior run from Strandhill to the top of Knocknaray, the selection of a warrior queen, a veteran car run, as well as golfing, windsurfing and sailing competitions.
The land of heart's desire, as Yeats called it. Now the land of Yeats poetry, with such famous names: Lake Isle of Innisfree, descendants of the Swans of Cool here perhaps, Knocknaray, lofty Benbulben, Drumcliff Churchyard, Lissadell. Names and beautiful scenes that the triathletes won't have very much time for today.
Can certainly claim some of the finest scenery in Ireland, and the festival organisers are hoping that the weather conditions will remain fine. On the day before competition, Ross's Point is beautifully calm, and the organisers are hoping it will remain so.
Pat Curley, Chairman of the Festival Committee. Are you happy, Pat, the way things have gone so far?
Yes, Brendan, I think we're extremely happy with the way things have gone. I think the only sort of problem we've had is with the weather so far. It hasn't been as fine as we have had, but I think today is beginning to pick up, and certainly the festival activities have been extremely trying, I'd say, for organisation.
You've put an awful lot of work into it.
Yeah, I think the committee overall have put a hell of a lot of work. I think we have had good generals, and each one has carried a good army with them.
And this is your first Sligo Festival?
First festival, yes.
So what initiated it?
It grew out of the triathlon last year. Because the triathlon was such a success, we felt that we would like to create a festival atmosphere around the triathlon, and a number of people felt that that was a good idea, and there was a feeling that Sligo should have a festival of some description, and the idea of based around sort of major sport activities grew, and as somebody said, it was an idea that has come into its time.
So all is in readiness for the Premier Dairies Triathlon of 1985, and as you can see behind me here, the sea is absolutely perfect for the event. We only hope that it will remain like this for tomorrow morning. Some of the competitors, in fact, are down there having a last-minute test of the water. And from here they go on to what they call a carbo loading session, which is an eating session, really. Hopefully none of them will overload, and they'll all be able to get up fit and ready for the event tomorrow. And this is the scene of the carbo loading. It's the Sligo Regional College, where, by the way, Pat Curley is a teacher. And they're eating all kinds of things like pasta, lots of potatoes, lots of bread, building up as much carbohydrates as they possibly can, because this will sustain them on this enormous task tomorrow, the three disciplines of swimming, cycling and running. And those loaded plates will be polished off with ease by these enormously fit competitors. And this is the scene on the morning of the event, and they're going to need all those carbohydrates. It's extremely cold, the wind is blowing hard, it's raining, and those waves are just crashing in there down at Ross's Point. The civil defence workers are at the job already. You can see all those cars lined up there, spectators and competitors. But conditions indeed are extremely bad for the swim. Most unfortunate that it isn't like it was yesterday. Sligo County Council workmen cordoning off the bicycle area. The Premier Dairies are at the ready there with lots of extra fuel for the contestants. And the civil defence fire engine with water hoses to wash the competitors down. Well, just a half an hour to go to the big moment, the off of the Premier Dairies Triathlon here in Sligo at Ross's Point, 1985. And with that wind out there and those waves, Kathy, I'm glad I'm not going in it. What about you?
Well, I'm glad too. I must say the scenery looks great today. We could, I think, afford a little bit of cloud lift, and I think it's going to be tough for the competitors today. In this sort of condition.
They're all down there making last-minute preparations. They're not daunted at all by the fact that the water is so rough and the wind is so wild, but we'll see what happens in just about a half an hour from now. Every detail has been taken care of with the bicycle, so important on the second leg of this competition. What are you up there, Desi?
It's just somebody eating the bike then. A few figs and a little bit of cake and all mixed up together. Hopefully a good source of energy. Hopefully give me an age.
You've got a fair lot of arranging to do there in the bag, all those bits and pieces and sorting out.
You're coming out of cool water and you're a bit confused and you're rushing and you want everything to be as set as
totally organised.
As organised as you can get, you know?
Yeah.
You're going to be cold, it's going to be hard to get the shoes on, the feet are going to be cold, they won't feel the shoes.
Yeah.
So it's trying to...
and you put stuff on the inside of your goggles there.
That's to stop. The problem with the cool water is that the mist up on the inside, and more so than the wood in the pool. So the fact that you're training in the pool all the time, it's always good to remember to put extra stuff on the goggles as well.
And the dates are gone. They're dates you left there in the cabs, aren't they?
Yeah, dates are. But that's a secret recipe.
What's that you're putting on there?
Vaseline.
That's great. And the name is?
Paddy Byrne.
From where, Paddy?
From Dublin.
And this is Mrs. Byrne who's giving you a hand.
No, it's the girlfriend.
That's
Brigitte from Belgium.
Monique from Belgium. From Belgium. Came over specially to put the Vaseline on.
You took part last year. Now, how did you manage to convince the husband to take part this year?
Just sweet talking.
Have you done much training?
For a bit, yeah.
Have you done all the training together?
The swimming, cycling we've done together. No, we haven't done any running together. It's a bit faster.
What do you think is going to be the most difficult today now in these conditions, because it's fairly windy?
Well, I don't like the cycle in the wind. That's the worst part, I think, for me.
And what about you?
The cycling is going to be my downfall, I'd say, if anything.
Patrick Kelly from Dublin.
Yeah, taxi man from Dublin, yeah.
That's what it is, Patrick.
That's what I do, yeah.
Is the weather going to trouble you?
No. Love the wind and the rain and the...
You do? And what about a bit of a wave out there in Ross's Point?
We'll have a go anyway, Brendan, yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, we'll have a go.
Andrew Harris, how's the form?
Pretty good, Brendan, pretty good.
You're worried about this swim, I believe.
Well, not really. I mean, do some body surfing, you know.
Yeah. You were asking, is it going to be shortened? Is that it?
Yeah. Well, it's not really. There will be some people who will be floundering out there after a while, you know, because yeah, it's pretty rough out there at the moment. Pretty rough.
You went last year and the year before?
No, not the year before. I did it last year.
Where'd you finish?
54th last year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to improve on that this year.
Great stuff. What age are you?
23.
Noel, are you going?
No, I'm not. I'm just supporting.
You're just a supporter. And you're going to?
I am.
What's your name?
Michael Carroll.
From where, Michael?
That's great.
Did you go last year?
I did, yeah, and year before.
Where'd you finish?
Well, 51st last year, so hoping to improve a few places this year.
Well, we're almost there, almost ready for the start, and you see boats there that are supplied by the Sligo Yacht Club, over 60 boats in fact, the Sligo Canoe Club, and there are 10 Irish Water Safety Rescue personnel. Extremely important that an eye is kept to the swimmers, particularly in these very rough conditions with this strong wind, which is going to cause a problem. It's blowing at an angle of 45 degrees to the line of the swim. The competitors now have to stand around and wait for the start, and with that cold wind, it's not very desirable that they wait that long, and we hear the countdown. Pat Curley, the chairman, is the starter, and they're away. There goes the siren, and they attack the sea. This great body of contestants, just under 300 of them, and I don't envy them their task, heading into this rough, cold water, temperature in the low 50s. And indeed the initiators of this event in California in the late 70s hadn't these type of conditions in mind. With their sunny Californian climate and the warm Pacific Ocean, they weren't thinking of Russell's Point, and of course it's an event that has taken off like wildfire.
But off they go. Difficult to do the crawl here. You see that competitor, here's the camera, he's reverting to the breaststroke because with those waves putting the head down causes problems. And already there are competitors towards the back in difficulty. Anxious spectators, relatives watching. The first contestant to come out, in fact, 4 minutes after the start only. Many of the faint-hearted giving up at this stage. But here we see the leaders heading off to the half-mile marker when they'll turn back for the shore. They've got the difficult part going out. It's right into the wind and the waves. And they're hoping that they reach that buoy safely and can turn around then with the waves at their backs. Among the leaders at this stage we have Tyke Murphy, Brian Desmond, Gerard Underwood, Robert McCann, David Warby, Brandon McGranton, Thomas Heaney. These are all the top swimmers, the people who belong to swim clubs, and this is their strongest of the three events. Contestant being taken out now, and at this point we hear that 21 are out. With the field strung way out now towards that half-mile marker. The boat's keeping a watchful eye. The helicopter filming overhead. And for many of the contestants, this is something of a nightmare. They did not anticipate these conditions, the cold and the waves. It's all right for the professional swimmers, as you might call them, but for these men and girls at the back, it's all over now. All that training and preparation, well, perhaps not enough preparation at the swimming. Halfway now, this is the marker buoy. And Tyke Murphy and Robert McCann up there towards the front. Tyke from the Half Moon Swimming Club and Robert McCann from the Turnure Swimming Club. Followed by Gerard Underwood from St. Vincent's Water Polo and Swimming Club, a shop assistant from Glasnevin. And we look now along the field, or along the water if you like, and from this angle they look like pale frogs in the water. Among them you have people like Anne Bean, a zoology student from Red Hills, Kildare, Dermot Breen, 43-year-old Blocklear from Mullaboy, Sligo, Cathal Burke, a 20-year-old supermarket manager from Ballymote, Sligo, Brian Byrne, a 37-year-old lab technician from the Coombe, Michael Berry, a teacher from Care, Declan Connolly, a student from Dunmurry, 20 years of age, Dunmurry, Belfast, Peter Corcoran, unemployed from Crossmolina, Don Quintillion, an assistant horse trainer who was a champion jockey in East Anglia from Suffolk, England, now in Cork, Michael Cochran, a teacher, and there they come around the buoy, crowded now, but in this situation it's nice to have a crowd around. They need all the friends they can make. Western Marine marker boys showing the way. He's happy enough about things, giving a wave to the camera. They're all in great spirits. This is the marvellous thing about it. They're enjoying themselves. You can see how rough it is there with the canoe, the way it's thrown up on the wave. And the ones going back now feel a lot happier. We have Desi Moran of Dublin there, Daniel Gallagher from Derry, Gerard Murray from Limerick, John Gilman from the Curragh, Patrick Byrne from Dublin, Philip Ormrod, John Hutton of Dublin, Seamus Bracken of Kinnegad, collecting for a local charity, as are many of them. There we go, he says, and for his sake, we hope so. Heading back to the beach, there's Philip Ormrod, he's company director. He's from the Sutton Grove Club, 43 years of age, with 3 children who were on the beach, no doubt, waiting for Daddy to come home. There's Houghton, bobbing up and down. And a lady contestant going around that Western Marine marker buoy. But the leaders are Tyke Murphy, Robert McCann and Gerard Underwood, 3 of the top swimmers in the field. And that's Tyke Murphy now heading for the beach. An official is telling him he's got to go along a little further. That wind blew him to the left. Aidan Anderson there is giving him a hand to telling him to go back in and go down a little further before he comes out. The wind blew them way to the left of where they leave the water. So Tadhg Murphy from Dublin, the Half Moon Swimming Club, is in the lead. A clerical officer with Telecom Éireann. He's only 21 years of age, and he's the proud leader of the swim. As he comes in there, he's going to be around 17 minutes. He's been followed by Robert McCann, Gerard Underwood and Brian Desmond. Very close, these four, close together. Brian Desmond from Galway and Gerard Underwood from Dublin, Glasnevin. Robert McCann from Terranure. So it's all the Dublin swimmers coming through there, and it is Tadhg Murphy who's first. His time is 17:10. Robert McCann is 17:11. Gerard Underwood 17:13. Then Brian Desmond. Then David Warby of Westmeath 17:19. Brendan McGrattan of Dublin 17:22. And the clock relentlessly marches on, waiting for the others to come out of the water as the leaders go ahead now, running up through the shower, through the water hoses supplied by the Civil Defence fire engine. And this is a great help to get the salt water off them, which is important because with that gone, it makes it easier to get into their cycling gear and makes it more comfortable on the arduous cycle and run to come. And the flags of the countries there behind: Ireland, Holland, France, United Kingdom and USA. And back out at sea, many of them only halfway to the buoy as the leaders have come in. Here's Thomas Heaney, another experienced swimmer, Ulster titles to his credit. These two rounded the buoy, and it's Jerry Kelly, a 42-year-old, just ahead of Joe McCarthy, who seems to be getting on his back. And Jerry the barrister is taking it quite philosophically, as 31-year-old Frank O'Dwyer from the Penguin Club comes in 8th.
Okay, Tadhg, it is very good time there. You're first in.
Very rough.
It's only about 20 minutes. How was it?
It's very, very rough. And I came over the rocks, so
You looked as if you took a good route in there. You came in along the side of the beach.
you couldn't really feel anything, you know, because it's so rough out there. You know, I was surprised how rough it was. I didn't think it would be that rough. I was very rough coming in. Then we hit the rocks, of course. I caught my foot.
And there you see the stormy seas that were no trouble to Brendan McGrattan, the fire brigade man, who was 6th.
It was fairly rough going out, Brendan. It was very choppy, and even coming back in, the waves were trying to catch you and lift you right up, so you missed your stroke completely. And it was very hard to see the buoys. You had to stop and look around just to see the buoys.
Incredible.
It was quite difficult, actually.
You're happy to be over that one?
I'm happy to be over.
Swimming is your strongest, of course.
It is indeed, yes.
Yes, so you're out on the bike now.
Out on the bikes now, yeah.
Martina Byrne from Dublin, I think you're the first out, first girl out. What was it like?
It was okay. It was a bit choppy at the end. You couldn't see where you're coming in.
Yeah.
It was very bad.
But you weren't worried.
Lovely, no.
You weren't worried at any stage.
Well, I don't know. Before it started, yeah.
Swimming is your strongest, is it?
Yeah.
Happy with the swim, Des?
Not on the way out, on the way back, yeah. On the way out with the wheels. I think I swallowed half of Ross's point. There's not going to be a lack of, there's not going to be too much suffering from salt deficiency today, you know.
I wouldn't say so, Des. Yeah. Good luck now.
Thanks a lot.
And Dave, how was it? Rough. Very rough, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's right. There's a lot pulled out at this stage.
I would think so. Yeah, a lot only went out about 100 yards or so and came back, you know.
Did they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the hard part over anyway.
The Civil Defence shower pours down its refreshing water. It'd be more refreshing, I'm sure, if it was warm, but these swimmers glad to wash the salt off. And these not hurrying as much as the one up front. There's Diana Nugent from Galway gone through, and Denise O'Connell from Thurles, a hairdresser, just gone through. These ones are more inclined to take their time. Miriam Barry from Limerick there. And the man getting on his bicycle is Patrick Crystal, a 36-year-old company director. Don't lose your banana, Patrick, as he heads off on the 56-mile cycle. 56-mile cycle followed by a 13.1-mile run. About half five we'll see you, he says.
And just to recap on those swimming results, first out of the water was Tadhg Murphy from Dublin in a time of 17 minutes and 10 seconds. followed by two more Dublin men, Robert McCann and Ger Underwood. Next came Brian Desmond from Galway, followed by David Warby from Westmeath and Brendan McGrath in 6th place, also from Dublin. Thomas Heaney from Down in 7th place, Frank O'Dwyer in 8th place from Dublin, Diarmuid Kelleher in 9th place from Dublin, and Brian Mongie from Dublin in a time of 17 minutes and 35 seconds, just 25 seconds behind the leader.
And it's the lead cyclists passing Drumcliff Churchyard, so cast an eye on us after this break. Welcome back to the Premier Dairies Triathlon. We're watching the reigning champion, Ger Hartmann from Limerick. He was in the 20s coming out of the water, so he's trying all he can to catch up on this man in front, David Warby from Westmeath, who was 5th out in 17:19. But a quick change got him ahead of the others, and he's leading the field on the 56-mile cycle. Thomas Heaney following now, taking a little refreshment. Thomas, who was 7th out of the water, his specialty is swimming, holder of many Ulster titles. And there, David Warby from Westmeath, out in front and pedaling fast, slight downhill at this stage. 56 miles, quite a cycle after that swim, quite a cycle at any time in fact. And Ger Underwood from Glasnevin also going well. He was 3rd out of the water. But there we see the smiling face of Paul Emmett. Veteran Paul, 46 years of age and a familiar figure now in the Premier Dairies Triathlon. An extremely fit man for 46, fit for any age in fact. He's a veteran of the Liffey Swim, competed in 20 of them, has won it twice. Half Moon Swimming Club, father of 4 children. And there he is, pressing on. In fact, he's catching up with Ger Underwood. Just going by him. And Ger puts his elbow on the handlebars and says, how does he do it? Ger Underwood following on there behind Paul Emmett now. Paul had trouble with the bike last year, but now going extremely well. Brian Desmond of Galway out on the road. But back at the cycle park, competitors just out of the swim and leaving the park. And this is a rather tricky exit from the park here. They're cold from the water. Their muscles haven't got used to the new discipline of the bicycles as yet, and great care has to be taken at this stage.
You lose something?
Breed Penny. Breed, you're coming loaded with things on the ground there, so milk and biscuits. Do you feel you need it at this stage?
I think I'm last, don't I?
Oh no, I don't think you're last. And a lot dropped out, so you're not the worst.
Grand.
How did you find the swim?
I feel clean now anyhow.
I say you feel very clean.
It's quite rough, mind you.
Which was the worst, on the way out?
Well, the waves were quite high now at one stage. And I kept the breaststroke all the time. I didn't change over. But,
an ambulance there in the background. I think a few people ran into trouble.
Yeah, there were a few people shouting all right, and a few men got panicky. More so than the women, I suppose.
It was very cold there for setting off.
I don't really feel cold, no.
Are you going to stop now to have a snack before you set off?
I'm better than the last year, I think.
You're not too worried about the time?
No, I'm way over. I'm not.
Oh, not at all. I'd say you're okay. It's 45 minutes after the start, so you're not too bad.
Yeah, oh well. You're warmed up now and see how we go. We're going to get dressed now, aren't you?
Reid Kenny from Mullingar, mother of 7 children, but there were others not quite so fit.
Brendan, you're into a bit of a problem there. You're very stiff.
It's cold. Feet are very cold. How are you doing?
This usual part now, have many people had to get a massage? Have many people have had to get a massage?
Just him now.
Loosen up.
They're very cold. Yeah, okay. Just before you get... Okay, come on, stick your arms on, okay. We'll work on your legs here, will you? Oh, your hands. Your hands are alright. Not too bad. His feet are very... Just my feet. You can get them down over there. Any feeling at all? You feel this? Yeah. Just normal.
You feel that at all?
No.
Did you find it easy enough?
I'm feeling alright in the running. But circulation is very bad.
Well, that's often a problem, is it? Have you done these things before?
No.
You've done triathlon before?
No.
Did you first triathlon?
Yeah.
You're getting any feeling there at all?
25-year-old Brendan Crowe from Ger, County Tipperary, married with one child, but he's going to pursue the rest of the event. There are 10 doctors, by the way, and 13 ambulances in attendance at the triathlon. Now the 5th and 6th men, Emmett and Underwood, are going through Grange. All the people of Grange turned out to give their support. Paul Emmett just ahead of Underwood, but Underwood coming up on his outside. They're heading on from Grange to Cliffany to Mullaghmore to Bundoran, and then the turn back at Bundoran back to Ross's Point. Brian Desmond behind those two. Desi McHenry now. Desi McHenry, who was down the field somewhat after the swim. He's third now through Grange. The clock, the second clock, reading just over the hour, and we're looking at Thomas Heaney, the man out in front. 7th out of the water in 17:35 from County Down. He's a student. He didn't repeat last year. He was doing his school leaving exams. A 20-year-old from Newtonards. He's heading for Cliffany, where they'll head off from Mullaghmore and back to Bundoran. And nearby, the home of the late Lord Mountbatten, Classybawn. The Garda motorcycle escort gives the warning that the leader is coming through, and there behind the timing car you see Thomas Heaney. Thomas Heaney out in front, and he's followed now close by Ger Hartmann, the reigning champion. Hartmann moved up into second place. Desi McHenry is third.
And now we have the leaders through Grange in the cycle race, the second event of the triathlon. Thomas Heaney there from Down leading the event. Second, Ger Hartmann making up tremendous ground after the swim. Third place, Desi McHenry, followed by John Glass, David Warby and Gerard Underwood in 6th position. In 7th position, Paul Emmett, followed by Brian Desmond in 8th, Dave O'Connor, and in 10th position, Erwin Cameron.
So as the leaders head off to Bundoran, we see Desmond Cawley there of Tipperary passing one of the many feeding stations along the way. You see how the civil defence were spread all around the course. Without them, this event would not have been possible. Under Commandant Vinnie Bly, doing a magnificent job. Coming through there, Dermot Kelleher, a teacher from Dublin, and the Sea Scouts working with the civil defence at the feeding stations, which are all important to prevent dehydration. Still on the Mullaghmore Peninsula. 66 off. Tommy O'Leary from Kerry gone through, followed by Liam Ryan from Limerick, and that welcome drink. Premier Dairy supplying cartons of water and straws, and these offered to the contestants right throughout the entire course, both cycling and running. Bundoran now from the air. Not very summery looking this year. Heaney and Hartmann are now together. You can see them there, those dots seen from the helicopter. And these two in the lead, but the champion Hartmann has a slight advantage at this stage. Taking it easy round the corner. The road's wet too. Slippy, and a fall would mean disaster. Ger Hartmann, who competed in the world event in Nice, was going extremely well, but crashed coming down the very treacherous mountain slopes. Now, on the Mullaghmore Peninsula, you'll see some of the riders heading out. These ones we're watching now, they're heading out around the peninsula, and on the other side of the road are the ones coming back, heading to Bundoran. It's interesting to know that this event may be in the Olympics by 1992. The American Triathlon Federation have applied for entry in 1992. If they don't get in, they're pretty confident they're going to be included in 1996. And the man on the helmet there is Dave O'Connor. Dave was competed in Hawaii in the Ironman Triathlon. He was 33rd out of the water, and he's now moved up to 6th going through Bundoran. And another man with a helmet there, that's the Dutchman Nico Mool, finished 12th in the Ironman Triathlon in Hawaii. Paul Emmett there. Meanwhile, 10 kilometres from Bundoran, coming through there is Doina Nugent from Galway.
You got you there again.
Spirits are high, and if the legs are not tiring, things are looking good. Out on the main road again, heading for Bundoran. And coming back from Bundoran, behind the lead car, the reigning champion, Ger Hartmann from Limerick. Gerard now stamping his class on this 1985 triathlon. And Heaney is now in second, looking tired. Thomas Heaney from down, throwing away the carton, looking a little dispirited there that Hartmann has broken him and has gone ahead. But he's got his head down and he's a battler, he's going to fight all the way. Thomas, a student, Bangor Swimming Club. Adrian Byrne has now moved up into 3rd place. He's gone ahead of Desi McHenry. And here we're looking at Desi, that tremendous competitor. He's making a great effort to keep up now with Adrian Byrne, the Garda, who is just ahead of him. Hartmann in the lead. Heaney still second. Adrian Byrne still 3rd. His number says 13, but it could be lucky this time. And Desi McHenry, his number says 3, but he's 4th. Passing Van Bulman. How could I ignore such beautiful scenery, says Desi. Yes, Nico Moll follows, the Dutchman. He's breathing down their necks, and Dave O'Connor is 7th. The heat is now on. Passing John Glass. From Belfast, John P. Glass. Leonard Smith, 25-year-old from Dublin, moved up to 8th. The clock reads 2:31:57, 58, 59, ahead of the leader, Ger Hartmann. Ger Hartmann, who concentrated on his cycling and some cycling colleagues in Limerick, says he's fit for Rostalton, made tremendous improvement over the last 2 years, an event he had never done before. A tremendous athlete, of course, Ger Hartmann, who specialised in running, went away on an American scholarship, but is now giving all his time to this triathlon. And he's heading back here to Ross's Point, where the scene has changed somewhat, much more suited to this sport. But the wind has died down and the clouds have lifted and it's not as cold. Too bad it wasn't a little more like this morning. And here's Hartmann heading up the seafront, up to the change area when he will ditch his bicycle, and off he goes in a 13.1-mile run. And he's looking forward to this because running, as I said, is a specialty, and the specialty of this man is cycling. Adrian Byrne in 2nd place still. You can see the perspiration dropping off him there. He's put a tremendous effort into this cycle. He knew he had to give it everything because, as I said, if he was to make up ground anywhere, it was to be on the bicycle. But Ger Hartmann coming into the finish. He's leading. He's about 3 minutes in front, in fact. And unless he has some disaster on the run, it's very difficult to see anybody catching him now. This tall, long-legged Limerick man who has done so well in athletics. Personal best in the mile of 4.2, 5,000 metres 14.21, 3,000 metres steeplechase 8.59, holds the Irish Junior steeplechase record. But wisely now, I think, concentrating on the triathlon where he can make a world mark. Coming in second, it's Adrian Byrne. The Garda goes through the finish of the cycle there in 2:55.30 approximately. He will now change. Third in is Thomas Heaney. A battling cycle there by Thomas. And it's Ger Hartmann now setting out on the 13.1 mile run. We'll see how he does in a couple of moments. And so it's the tall, athletic figure of Ger Hartmann who is now dominating the 1985 Premier Dairies Triathlon, heading out on the Sligo Golf Links, courtesy of the County Sligo Golf Club. More famed for the West of Ireland Golf Championships. But Ger Hartmann in a very comfortable lead, and we look back to the finish of the cycle, and it's the Dutchman, Mull, who's coming in fourth. Behind him then, approaching the finish, is Desi McHenry. Desi goes through, he's got the run to make up places. He finished fourth last year, he wants to improve on that. Next coming through, it's Dave O'Connor. Dave in 3:01. And after a quick change, it's Adrian Byrne, running in second place. The tall, determined Garda blown off course almost there by the helicopter as Ger Hartmann is out on the country road that leads across to the main Bundoran Road. And out on that road we see the cyclists still making their way from Bundoran back to Ross's Point. They still have that 13.1 mile daunting run ahead. There's Doinian Nugent, but John Healy thinks nothing of the run.
Ah, it's great. It's no problem at all. Lovely course.
You're very cold coming out of the sea.
Yeah, it was quite cold, yeah.
So you're using newspaper inside your shirt?
Yeah.
Just help.
Yeah.
You're about 10 minutes behind the leader.
Am I? That's
Can you make it up?
Well, I don't care, you know, I'm just interested in finishing, that's all.
No problem with the course?
No, it was a lovely course.
You didn't see any accidents on it, no?
No, I didn't know. Oh, it was lovely. It suited me nice. Just only my first year.
You're doing very well. You're going to change the whole gear now.
Yeah, I'm going to be very indecent now.
Very much everyone.
Modest in every respect, John Healy from Dublin there, and Paul Emmett rushing to get out of that gear and get into his running shoes.
You're moving fairly fast. What did you find the cycle?
Tough, very tough. The swim wasn't there a little bit longer, you know?
Yeah, you did well on the swim.
The swim is my number one.
I know, the rest of them were saying they found the swim very tough.
That's alright. They're all plastics. Swimmers know what that means, huh?
It was tough enough out there though, it was very rough.
It was.
And you found the cycle fairly tough. This is one of the nicest jobs I've been on so far.
Good girl, Kathy. And we see Desi McHenry here. Desi McHenry passing the Dutchman Mull. Desi faded a bit on the cycle. Not up to his best form, I think. Fourth last year, as I said. Still has a good chance of coming in the top three. Mull seems to be lagging a little at this point. Very difficult running on the sand, of course. About a mile on the beach and then onto the cross-country road. And the last 6 miles they have the wind facing them. Dave O'Connor, nothing plastic about Dave as he ploughs away. He'll be competing in the Ironman in Hawaii later in the year. Now a group of cyclists with second in that group there, Jennifer O'Connell, who is the leading woman. She's number 1 at the moment, but this girl, Juliet Smith, is hard on her heels.
How are you feeling? You're out about 3.5 hours.
I'm a bit tired. It's the worst part is no, the worst part is to come. I'm not a runner.
And of course, all of these runners running for a place in the team to go to the Ironman Triathlon in Hawaii. 4 men will go and 2 women at the expense of Premier Dairies, so that is a great incentive to everybody. And Ger Hartmann, it would appear, has his place sewn up. He's way out in the lead. We're looking at the back markers, but there's Ger coming now onto the main road from Bundoran. He's on the last leg. He's followed by Adrian Byrne, who's a few minutes behind. The Garda made up a lot on the bike. And the clock there showing the cumulative time, 3:31:05. Desi McHenry rounding there in 3rd place. Desi has made up from 5th now to 3rd on the run. But I'm sure it's taken a lot out of him. There's Heaney coming around onto the main road, Thomas Heaney. And he looks really spent. Jennifer O'Connell, still the leading woman. She's down on the beach now. She's a student at St. Patrick's Training College in Drumcondra. This is her 1st year and she's collecting for a women's centre. She's followed by Michael Coughlin there from Cork on the beach. It's interesting to note as we watch these pictures that the Soviets are breaking into the international triathlon scene this year. They have their first ever competitor in the Ironman in Hawaii, Serge Bogulavsky. As we watch our hero, he's out in front, Ger Hartmann, and as I said, it would appear that he and Adrian Byrne, who's in 2nd, may have their places tied up for the Ironman in Hawaii. Adrian looking very relaxed. He's taking it somewhat easy and relaxed on the run now. Desi McHenry has to press. He's in 3rd place. He'll be happy enough if he holds on to this, because he'll make the top 4 men. And down now on the seafront, coming to the end of the run, we have Ger Hartmann, the young man from Limerick, who spent 4 years in America on scholarships, attended McNeese State University of Louisiana and the University of Arkansas on athletic scholarships for running, and he has a degree in business administration. And he has this title all wrapped up for the 2nd year in succession, the Premier Dairies champion of 1985. That's Ger, wonderful, marvellous. How do you feel?
Great, I felt great today.
Did you?
I really had a great swim. I enjoyed the cycling thoroughly. I'd never expected to be in the lead that early. And I just really enjoyed the whole event.
And your time by 4
I was predicted 4 minutes, 4 hours even, but conditions were very windy. And I'm happy.
You did a marvellous cycle.
Great cycle.
You surprised everybody, in fact.
I think I pushed it very hard in the cycle, knowing that my run was the strongest and I wouldn't have to. I had that on the run, you know.
Yes, so all your training at the cycle has paid off.
Well, I think it's fair because 2 weeks ago I was after missing 3 weeks from running. I didn't run for 3 weeks because of a back injury.
Yes.
And I'm only back running 2 weeks.
Yes.
There's my grandmother here now.
Come in, Granny. Good pictures. And that's your sister. And who's the other? Well, the family prayers were answered, it seems. But nobody praying for poor Desi McHenry. He's in 3rd place and he's slowed down to a walk. But there he goes again. I think he feels fairly confident that he's well enough ahead as we watch Adrian Byrne, that very strong, determined Garda, coming in 2nd place. Hartmann's winning time, 4:04:29, and it looks like Adrian Byrne is going to be around 4:18. Adrian Byrne coming to the finish on the seafront, goes through the line there, and his official time 4:18:35. So those 2 are through. That's Hartmann and Byrne, Hawaii bound. As we look down on the General Sea, with Desi McHenry now plodding in, his muscles tightened up a little bit. He's not in the form he was in when he was the best of the Irish in the World Championship in Nice earlier this year. He's still the showman. Frank Nolan congratulates him there. And the 2 great comrades in arms, Byrne and McHenry. Adrian, congratulations, 2nd, and Desi 3rd.
Ah, thanks, Grant.
Yeah, how do you feel?
To be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, look, halfway down that road there, I was
Sophie's only starting the run.
He made up a lot of ground there the last 8 miles or so, does he? It seems.
Caught him and then he got away.
Yeah, are you both a bit disappointed?
Oh God, no.
No?
No, I was very happy, as I said, to be in the first 5. I didn't expect to be up today at all.
You didn't?
Not with a swim like that.
Yeah.
Pretty warm.
I know, yeah. That told against you.
Yeah.
And you made it up down on the cyclone. Had you any bad patch on the run or the cycle?
The early part of the run I was very worried because I felt very tight. I had to do a lot of work on the bike to get up, you know.
Yeah.
But as the run went on, I started getting better and better, you know.
Yeah, you looked good at the finish. Desi, a lot of us thought you might have won it this year.
I got lost in the swim. There's no way nobody else ever beat Ger. I can't see it. No?
Nobody will ever beat Ger.
I don't think. He's a great cycler. He's a brilliant cycler.
Yeah, he's made up so much now on the cycle that he's going to be terribly tough to beat.
Hard to beat.
Yeah.
Top class athlete.
Nicomo, the Dutchman, is fourth. And Adrian Byrne, Desi McHenry, 32 years of age and 38 years of age, have booked their passage to Hawaii. Meanwhile, Juliet Smith is now the leading woman, having passed Jennifer O'Connell. And Dave O'Connor looking spent.
Right.
How are you?
Shattered.
You've moved up a couple of places though on last year. Yeah. So you got to be happy about that. I'm delighted. Yeah, totally shattered. Are you? Good Lord. You're a great man to have kept going. Where did you feel? Where did it hit you when off the bike? I'm just over the wires. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. Well, you're going to go on the Ironman in Hawaii. Definitely. How about that? Well, I thought the mention of the Ironman at that stage would have deflated Dave O'Connor, but he positively brightened up as we watched Laura Fitzgerald Brohl of Newbridge, Dan Walsh, Limerick, and John King of Limerick. Congratulations, John.
Thanks very much. I'm proud of you today.
How do you feel?
Well, not as proud as last year.
That's good, right?
Got the pace a lot better this year.
And you're sixth. You moved up in your places too.
All right, yes.
That's terrific.
Very pleased.
How were you last year?
15th.
John P. Glass, the leading northerner, in 6th, and Thomas Heaney, another northerner, in 7th place from County Down. 7th. Happy with it?
Fuck yeah. I miss pace to cycle, you know. I just can't hold back.
Yeah. Well, you had those exams yesterday. Did they go well, by the way?
I hope so. Hope better than last year.
Leonard Smith from Dublin comes in 8th. His time 4:35:33. And he's followed by Erwin Cameron from County Down. Tall, strong-looking Cameron. And that's 3 northerners in so far.
Erwin Cameron from Down.
Keep it up.
And looking back about 2.5 miles to go, Kevin McGreal from Mayo, Jennifer O'Connell Dublin, Kevin Darcy Clare and Anne Carney Dublin, Herbert Inglis of Dublin behind them. And now the man who was bashful about changing, John Healy from Dublin. He's a computer programmer, finishing full of smiles. Alexander Carey, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
A local man.
That's right.
You got a great reception there.
I did indeed.
We're all very proud of you.
Great support.
And you looked in great and fresh form coming in there.
Hearts have been training quite some time for them.
Had you bad patch anywhere?
No bad patch, just all great patches the whole way through.
Yeah, and you didn't think any one was worse than the other, did you?
No, I thought it was all just okay, just exactly as I had trained for. However, may I just say this thing, it's just like Christmas.
Like Christmas.
The great thing, the sad thing about it is it only comes once a year. Let's get a few more Premier Dairy.
And now the 45-year-old Seamus Organ from Courtown, County Wexford. He paddled a canoe across the Irish Sea to Wales on his 21st birthday, the first ever to cross by canoe. We're looking there on the left, Frank Stapleton. Juliet Smith is in the centre, and she is heading to be the first woman home, ensuring herself of a trip to Hawaii. She's 23 years of age, she's from Malahide, she's single, she's a student, and she's a member of the Irish Triathlon Association. She's the women's Premier Dairy Champion of 1985.
Fantastic performance there. 5:07, tough going.
It was a hard slog.
We had a quick word there just getting off the bike. You had to get behind at that stage.
Yeah, well, I couldn't believe that I pulled back so much time in the run because my running's the weakest. I thought my bike would have given me a good lead, but it didn't.
How did you find the run?
It wasn't too bad. I enjoyed it more than I did the cycle. The cycle was tough.
You weren't too sure though who was going to come in first. You must have passed out Jennifer at some stage along the way, did you?
Yeah, I passed Jennifer about a mile and a half up the road after the bike, and then after that, I just kept pushing myself.
Well, Jennifer O'Connell isn't feeling that good, but she's still pressing on to the finish. The run, obviously, not her strongest. And with her there is Michael Coughlin from Cork. Dinah Nugent, the Galway girl. She's coming in to finish second. And she too books a place to Hawaii. 5:09:54.
You had a quick word there. You look as if you're fairly rocky on the feet. Very tired. I blew myself over the first half of the run. Did you? I was chasing too hard.
Jerry Kelly, an RTE technician, married man with 4 boys, has run 6 marathons. Michael Clancy with him there, another marathon runner.
Hello guys. Thanks. What's Mark?
Well, that should revive him, and another man needing revival was Senior Counsel Urcus Stewart.
Hiya, Ger.
Urcus, you look a little bit tired there. How did you find it?
I thought it was the worst of the 3.
Really?
Yes. The swim was very, very rough, and the cycle with the wind was... I very nearly didn't finish it.
Yeah. Did you have any problems in the sea?
Yes, I felt like going back about 1/3 of the way out. I really did. On the way out with the water coming into your mouth.
Yeah.
But once I got on the bike, I was very happy.
Another happy man, Conor O'Callaghan from Belfast. Now rejoicing together, Johnny Norton and Thomas Flood. Which brings us to the presentation by the Managing Director of Premier Dairies, Michael Ger
Hartmann and Juliet Smith. Congratulations. Being first podium is not nearly as important as the competition that we saw today and the comradeship that has been developed through all the competitors and for those that travelled from very far away indeed to support the event. I say thank you very much to all those competitors for making this the best triathlon so far.
Michael Jacob, and so say all of us, and our thanks particularly to the sports organisations in Sligo who helped to make such a great success of this event. This is Jacob there who lent her assistance. And we wish every good luck to the 6 Irish competitors who take part in the Ironman Triathlon now in Hawaii. In all, 240 finished, the last in 7:31:09, but all were happy to have taken part, to have explored their possibilities and realised their limitations in this extraordinarily testing event.